What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another 30-day fishing challenge episode. So today, hopefully, it's going to be a little bit better than yesterday. The water was 6 feet up. It was super muddy. The fishing was just off. I think it had to do with the water temperature dropping 15 degrees. But today I'm at a lake that has absolute giants in it. Every time that I've fished here, I've had the opportunity to catch a 5 or 6 pounder. I've caught multiple 6s, multiple 5s, and this place is just loaded. So before we get out on the water, I need to let you guys know that this video is brought to you by Karls Bait and Tackle. So I know a lot of you are probably wondering what or who is Karls Bait and Tackle. So the guys over at Mystery Tackle Box just recently launched a brand new e-commerce site called shopkarls.com. So what's really cool about that is it's going to give us the opportunity to get discounted rates on fishing gear. They're going to have all of our fishing essentials, everything that we need, and something that I'm a huge fan of is that you're going to be able to buy baits that you get out of your Mystery Tackle Box directly off of shopkarls.com. Something else that they're offering is a Karls Club membership, which is basically a Costco membership for fishing needs. You can join Karls Club for $99, and right now they're actually doing a discounted membership for $59, and your first order is going to be 50% off. So if you want to do your summertime splurge on fishing baits and tackle, make sure you go check out shopkarls.com. So another really cool thing about joining Karls Club is that they're giving you 30% off of nearly everything on the website. You can get a bunch of gear for near wholesale price, not to mention that they're actually doing a $500 fishing sweepstakes giveaway. So if you guys go over there and try your luck and enter into the sweepstakes, you'll have a chance to win $500 to spend on fishing gear at shopkarls.com. Make sure you click that link in the description below. Go check them out. Go join Karls Club, and I promise that you're not gonna regret it. So we're gonna get out here on the water. We're gonna go try to catch some donkeys today in this muddy water. Hopefully we can make it happen. Let's go. I am really hoping the rain is going to hold out at least for a couple hours for us today. Little black and blue jig action. Flip some of this wood. Generally, when the water comes up and it's really dirty like this, the fish love to stick around cover, and they will come shallower too. So that's usually when the flip and bite is on. Yesterday, not so much. Just gonna hit some of these real quick. I'm actually heading over to one of the bigger coves here. Gonna see if the fish pushed up into there first and then work our way out on the main lake and just kind of mess around there. But usually, like I was saying, when the water's this high and muddy, you can find fish like right on the bank, right there where I cast it. They're gonna be shallow, usually. The reason I wanted to come up here and check this creek out is you can generally find cleaner water in some of the bigger creeks on the lakes you're fishing when they're super muddy. Looks like way back there it might clean up just a little bit, but we'll see. We are starting the day off with a big black and blue jig. It's a 1/2 ounce, got a rattle on there. You just really want it to be loud when the water's this dirty. The fish have a hard time seeing anything in this kind of water. I mean, you got, actually it's not that terrible. It's about a foot. It looks extremely dirty, but it's just stained. Yeah, you got about a foot of visibility, so it's not as bad as I thought. I have a net bait Paca chunk, I think, or Paca crawl. Cut it off and just threaded it on. Gives it a really big presentation. I like throwing baits that are bigger when the water's dirty, just so it gives the fish an easier time to see it. Plus, this place has some donkeys. They will have no problem eating this jig up. Or a snack. So right now we're flipping some of this grass. This is willow leaf grass, I believe. Most of the other places that I fish, I actually have a pretty hard time catching them in this stuff. And I don't know why. I don't know what it is. Springtime, like right when it starts to come in, it seems to be pretty good. And then, you know, late spring, like post-spawn, and summer, I very rarely catch too many big fish at a grass like this. But again, I don't fish here too often, but I feel like they really transition to wood later on. I don't know why that is. This stuff seems pretty good. It's like in 7 feet of water. There's plenty of cover. I'm sure there's a ton of bait in there, but we'll see what happens. Basically just trying to work my way back to where these trees are in the wood. So I'm flipping real quick, just letting that jig hit the bottom, shaking it a few times, and then casting again. Texas rig? I really like to switch it up when I'm out between the jig and the Texas rig, like 50-50 to see what they want to eat first. I don't know what it is, and I don't know why, but sometimes they'll eat a Texas rig a lot better than a jig, and sometimes it's vice versa. I don't know what, I mean, they're pretty much the exact same thing, but sometimes they just like one more than the other. So right now I'm flipping around a Pit Boss. It's like a black with green flake. See if they want to eat this instead. When the water is dirty, I like really dark colors, so I'm pretty much always throwing something with black in it. Oh, there we go. Little guy, but he ate the Texas rig, just like I was talking about. I mean, a fish this size probably isn't gonna hit that giant jig, but he was right where I wanted him to be, right up in the wood, really shallow. I pitched that up onto the bank. See ya. And he crushed it. I thought that was gonna be a big fish. Every time I set the hook on a fish here, I think it's gonna be big. It's stacked with giants. All right, so I'm working my way up lake a little bit, up into one of the arms of the lake. I'm just paralleling this grass line. I'm sitting in 13 feet of water. So basically I'm just fishing that first break line, hitting the edge of this grass, seeing if there's anything hanging off of it that wants to eat the chatterbait. Try this for a little bit. And then once we get up to stuff like this, all these down trees with a bunch of wood, pick up the Texas rig, flip it around. Anybody missing a canoe? Big fish. Oh God, that's a donkey. Oh, stay pinned, baby, come on. Told you, big fish all the time here. It's insane, look at that. It's a stud. Honestly, that fish almost pulled the rod out of my hand. That was awesome. Look how deep that jig is in his mouth. He really wanted it. God, that was sick. Just an absolute beautiful fish. Really light colored right now. Usually they're a little bit darker this time of year. 4.65. See you later. Thanks for the bite. That fish was not shy about eating the jig, that's for sure. It almost pulled the rod out of my hand. I was kind of like, I don't even know what I was doing. I was paying attention to something over here on the boat, and then my rod just got slammed. It's another good one. Oh my God. Oh yeah. This fish has a lot of fight. Jigs all day, baby. It's another solid fish though. He's probably 3.5, pushing 4, definitely a high 3. So awesome on the jig. They're eating the jig today. I love it. These fish are really light colored. This one's not as light as the last one, but really pretty. Love them. Absolutely love a good jig bite. There's nothing better. And I'm really just focusing on wood now. I fished a lot of grass without really any bites. As soon as I started really keying in on the wood, I started eating. Come on. 379? 3.79. Angry fish. See ya. Love it when they eat the jig. This may just turn into a jigs all day video. So if they're eating it like that, good ones, I am gonna have a very difficult time putting it down. So both of those fish that I caught were not as shallow as I was expecting them to be. They were definitely off the bank a little bit, but for sure holding to the wood. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but basically what I'm doing right here is weaving the jig through the branches. It's really not hard to do. You just have to imagine what that jig is looking like down there. So when you pull it up to a branch, like right now, I'm having a hard time getting it over. You really don't want to try to horse it over it because it's just going to dig the hook or the head into the wood. So you kind of have to feather it over the top of it, and then as soon as you do that, just let it drop down on the other side. And if you have to feed slack, feed slack. But a lot of times that's going to get you freaking hammered, so just be ready for the bite. See, we're stuck on the other side of a limb right now. So you bring it up to it, and you can feel when the jig head hits the wood. You just pop it right over it slowly. Just barely lift your rod tip. You can tell if it's going to get stuck because it obviously won't come over the piece of wood. But if you bring it up to the point just where it hits it, it won't dig in. And you just have to sometimes let it drop back down and then kind of pop your rod really quickly. It's like right there, I'm stuck for sure. You just reel down to it until you feel the tension and then slowly pop it. Usually that'll pull it out. I mean, you're gonna get this thing stuck. There's no doubt about it. Like, you are absolutely 100% gonna get stuck fishing a jig. But also, that's where the fish are gonna be. I'm on a branch right now. Oh, it's not good. There it goes. It's another little trick for you. If you get your jig stuck, snapping your line, just grabbing it right here, pulling it back till you feel tension, and then letting it go creates like a shock wave through the line. It'll pop free a lot of times. And if you're kind of further out on a cast and you get stuck and you pop it free like that, a lot of people will just straight reel that bait back in. That is definitely not what you want to do. If you still have some fishable water in front of you, or you just popped it free, either way, like even if you have like 5 feet left till you're at the boat and you can pop it free and then let it sink on the other side, you will get bit doing that a lot. Think about it, the jig, when you pop it free like that, just goes crazy over the log or limb, whatever you're stuck on, just pew, pops right over. That's usually when those fish are gonna eat it. Something I always do when I'm fishing a jig is watch my line. So, like, make a cast and I like immediately drop that extra slack line on the water. You can see your line sinking, and a lot of times you'll see a bite before you even feel it on your rod. Keeping that in mind, you're gonna hit branches and grass and rocks sometimes on the fall, so that'll trick you once in a while. Happens to me all the time. Uh-oh. Starting to rain. You gotta go under your cover. There's very few times when I actually find rain to help the fishing out. And that's just my own experience. I have had it where it's helped the fishing and it kind of made it just absolutely crazy. And then there's times like today where I think it just shuts them down a little bit. Come on, fish. I want a couple more. Both of those fish kind of reacted to me just shaking this jig. Well, actually, no, that's not true, because the first one, it was just sitting there. I had just popped it over a limb. And I think it just landed right in front of his face. The second one, I know I was moving the jig a little bit. And that's something you got to play around with when you're out on the water, I find, is, you know, sometimes you can be throwing this jig and not get bit at all just by hopping it back to the boat. Just, you know, giving it pretty solid little swift hops like that. Even if you do get bit once, sometimes it'll just die off. You'll be like, what the heck? I got one solid bite. Now they won't eat it all. And that's where you really want to just try dragging it a little bit. Because sometimes those fish want that bait just right flat on the bottom, so they just come down and slurp it up. In this dirtier water though, since I have those rattles, I've been shaking this a whole bunch. Just like that, just popping it. We were doing this yesterday in the tournament too. That's how Ace got bit a few times. Just kind of shaking it in place, knowing those rattles are making a bunch of noise, and then just killing it. And that's when the fish will come up and eat it. Haven't been bit since it started raining though. Oh my God, is that a car? It is a car. Never seen that before. It's got all that camouflage mesh over it too. I wonder what the heck that is about. That's crazy. Oh my God. Oh God. Did you guys see that? That fish came out of nowhere and hammered. It didn't look big. Honestly, it didn't even look like a freaking bass. I don't know what that was. It looked like a snake. I told you guys, they started biting the jig. I have such a hard time putting this thing down. It's so fun catching fish on it. If you are not very confident throwing it, what I suggest to do is just pick up a black and blue jig, any brand. It doesn't really matter if you're just starting or you're just wanting to learn how to do it. Take one rod out with you and go out and throw the jig all day. Like, even though you know you could be catching them on shaky heads or top water or whatever, just take the jig out, only the jig, and spend a whole day doing it. Even if you catch one fish, it'll help you so much and just give you some confidence. And jigs catch giants. 2 good fish and 1 other bite within 20 minutes. And then it started to rain and it shut down. 1 more fish, come on. 1 more. God, fighting hard. Poor little guy. Oh, he's decent. He's another 3-pounder probably. Pretty fish. He's probably 2 3/4. 277. See ya. Oh, I had a fish up in there. Dang it. Oh, well, that sucks. Yep, took my claw. Make sure you retie your line, because when you're pulling it over limbs and rocks and whatnot, it really beats your line up pretty bad. It is not worth breaking off fish, especially on those tough days. Like when you're getting a little bit lazy and you're like, oh, they're not biting. That is usually when they eat and you break off, and it sucks. So always check your knot. Okay, that's the last one. This spot just looked too good. All right, we're done. Fun day. Alright guys, I know this video is super long already, but if you're still watching, there's 2 more things I want to go over really quickly because I know you're going to ask me in the comment section. First is going to be the rod, reel, and line setup. Yesterday I was throwing a 7/6 heavy. Generally I'm going to throw a 7/6 heavy or extra heavy rod, especially when I'm fishing around super tight cover like that. And the reason you want to do that is because you want to have a very powerful hook set. 1, to drive the hook into the fish's mouth, and 2, so you can just kind of horse them out of any sort of tight cover that they're in. You don't want them to dog you under a log or limb and just get stuck there. It sucks. It happened to me today, but that's why you want to use a super heavy rod. The line that I'm using is 20-pound Seagar and Vizex. It's a fluorocarbon line. You can also throw braid if you're flipping really heavy grass or really tight cover, but I just feel really comfortable throwing the fluorocarbon. As far as the reel, I'm using a Daiwa Tatula 8:1:1. You want something with a fast gear ratio, just for the same reason as you want a powerful rod, just so you can get them out of that cover really quickly, and also so when you're hopping it over limbs and you feel that bite on the apex of the hop, you're able to reel down and get a good hook set into the fish. Lastly, I just wanted to tell you guys about the trailers that I use, and I keep it pretty simple for the most part. I go with the Zoom Chunk. I use a Pit Boss Jr., Gary Yamamoto Flap and Hog, and then something with a little bit more action like the Yum Christy Crawl. So kind of let the fish tell you what they want, if they want something with crazy arms and appendages going wild, or something that's just going to sit there like a Flap and Hog or the Chunk trailer. So that's going to wrap this one up. I know that was a ton of information, but I love fishing a jig. It's one of my favorite things to do. If you guys are not into jig fishing, or it's something you're not very comfortable doing, I suggest you pick it up and go out there and just mess around with it, because there's nothing that beats that. Maybe topwater, but nah, jigs all day. That bite is just phenomenal. It catches giant fish, and there's really nothing that beats setting the hook kind of ridiculously on those big fish. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm about to go fishing for the day. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for me. Check out that video up there in this corner. We'll see you tomorrow.